Hey everybody, it's Tanya Smith here of Get Noticed with Video Live. This is our weekly episode. We are now on Thursdays. We were waiting to move Thursdays to January 2021, but due to all the different things that are going on, we're just going to go ahead and move things right now in the month of December. So if you are part of our VIP community over at Video VIPs on Facebook, then you will have this information in our calendar available to you as of this week. Again, let me introduce myself, Tanya Smith with Get Noticed with Video. GetNoticedWithVideo.com is where I live online. And tonight I want to explore something. You know how as a mature person, and you can be mature at any age, you look back on the past 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I'm aging myself. And you think about, man, if I knew then what I know now. So we're going to talk a little bit about if I knew then about video when I first got started being really committed to doing a live stream show, what would I tell my younger, less tenured self? And what would I share with you? So I'm going to welcome you in just a few minutes. While we show this short intro video, please feel free to put a hello in the comments wherever you're watching from and let me know where you're hailing from. I'm in the Dallas area, so welcome to you wherever you are. I'll see you in just a few short seconds so I can give my first shout out to my Video VIPs community and then anyone else who may be watching and joining with us live. See you in a second. Alrighty, folks, I want to welcome you back again. It is Thursday and we're delivering our Get Noticed with Video weekly live. First of all, I want to say hello to the folks that are watching the Miss Yo-Yo show. What's up, girl? Hey, it's good to see you there, ma'am. And in Detroit, so power up to Detroit and the Michigan folks, family there for sure. Virginia Jen, it's wonderful to see you and congratulations on your new website. I know you shared that with me earlier this week. Marcia, it's beautiful to see you as always. I love it, love it, love it. So thank you so very much. And I just want to welcome you because we're going to talk a little bit about some things that I would have shared with my younger or less familiar with video self. I want to share some of those tips. And while we talk about that, I also want to talk a little bit about, for those of you who have joined Clubhouse, I want to kind of get your thoughts. So I'm looking forward to kind of hearing a little bit of feedback on that. And I'll definitely integrate that into the 3 tips we're going to share tonight. Hello there from Greensboro, North Carolina. Here, I'm going to share this. If you're in my Video VIPs community on Facebook, make sure you give StreamYard permission so that I can see your face and name and acknowledge you personally. Just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and make sure you give your permission there. I see Stacy and Angelica. Good to see you too, lady. Everyone, good evening. Good evening. So here's what we're going to talk about. Again, and I started off this way. We all have these lessons learned, right? So I usually try to start out by sharing a little bit of context behind why I chose a particular topic, because I love, first of all, talking about anything that has to do with video and putting your face on camera. As an introverted person myself, this was not something that came naturally. So even if you are watching right now and you're like, man, her setup is tight and she seems like she's confident and all of those things, it didn't start out that way. What I started to do is to actually take a photo from way back when I first started doing my own business and put that on screen so that I could talk to myself. But then it got a little, I thought, no, that might be a little too weird. But I want to share with you that you're going to be in a different place when you start doing more video, more on camera where people can see you and engage with you video. You're going to find yourself in a different place let's say 6 months from now, maybe even a month, 30 days from now, if you decide you're going to commit to it and start doing more right now. And here's the thing, I want to challenge you because many of you are service providers like I am, which means we're nurturers, we're coaches, we're encouragers, we're trainers, we're helping other people to be at their best. One of the best possible ways you can do that when it comes to content these days, right now in this moment, is by doing more video. So I want to encourage you and to help you to feel more confident and more comfortable in this space, because this is going to help you differentiate yourself from others who are doing similar things to what you do, especially when it comes to building your social brand. So let me say that first. Now, the context, again, the reason why I chose this topic for this evening is because it seems like sometimes we forget where we came from, and it's always good to take a look back and to think about the lessons learned. So if you are a person who feels like you've learned a few things in the last 2 to 3 years and you're a different, more wise person than you were, I want you to type in the comments a hands up, yes. Or you can put a fireball, because here's the thing. If you're not learning, you are not growing. If you're not learning, you are not growing. So I hope that every single one of you will put a fire emoji in the comments, no matter where you're watching from, because I believe that you have the potential to be so much better just 30 days from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now than you are today, as long as you continue to commit to growing and learning. So I want to share with you 3 little tips, 3 things that I wish I'd known when I first started out doing video. And yes, I am seeing the fire emojis. Yes, yes, yes. And there's Michelle. Definitely, I'm going to come back to that comment on Clubhouse for sure, girl, because I know you and I were on there. Kim, yes, ma'am. It's fire. It's fire all day long, because you are growing, you are learning, and you are growing. All right, so let's talk about these 3 things. And for those of you who are kind of jealous and you're like, where's the community? Where's the video VIPs at? We're on Facebook. We're on Facebook at Video VIPs. But here's something I'll tell you really quickly before I go into the 3 tips. I am starting to build up my YouTube channel. So once we get to 1,000, and we're close, once we get to 1,000 followers there, I'm also going to open up community in that space as well. So just keep that in mind. But meanwhile, let me get into these 3 tips. Yes, Marceline, we are growing, girl. We are. So here's my 3 tips. Tip number 1 that I would have told myself if I had known then what I know now. When I first started doing live streams, I would have told myself, girl, you do not need to buy all of that. That's tip number 1. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I went out, and you may be in this situation too, where you did Black Friday not too long ago, and you went and you bought a ton of stuff. And y'all know, if you were in my classes and in my groups prior to that, I said, start where you are, because that's something that I've learned over time. I bought so much stuff because I was being told by different people, experts and gurus who were in the field of being videographers, right? Okay. That's not what I teach here. What I share with you is that you are a service provider, and I want you to be better and stellar at what you do. I want you to be a better and stellar coach, trainer, consultant, speaker, author. I want you to be better at that, but not so much for you to become a professional videographer. But that's not what I was being taught. And this is one of the reasons why I speak a different language, if you will, when it comes to video, because I went out and bought the most expensive, most complex software. I bought a ton of different equipment that I don't even use today. If I were to pan over to the left, maybe that's your right on camera right now. If I were to be able to pan over and show you this graveyard, these boxes of different types of microphones and cameras and all kinds of doohickeys, right? that I invested in and don't use today, that's a huge lesson. Do not create a video graveyard for yourself. It's sort of like, okay, think about all the skincare, hair care, and cosmetic products that we use to try to see where we're going to be and what we want to use. I have daughters with natural hair. My daughter, my eldest in particular, is a hound when it comes for sniffing out new natural hair care products, or at least she used to be. And so she had these boxes and boxes and boxes full of different things that she would try, and none of them were working for her. Well, honey, it gets really expensive when you're doing that and it comes to video, streaming equipment, and other types of apps and software. So, what I would have told my younger self a few years back is, girl, you don't need to buy all that to do video. Okay? Yes, you don't need to buy all that. What you need to do is, first of all, commit to the fact that you're going to do it. And once you commit to it, you start with where you are. So if you're getting started right now and doing more on-camera video, what I want to encourage you to do is to start with what you have. You have a smartphone, more than likely. And you probably, maybe you don't have the brand new iPhone, or you don't have the brand new Android or whatever it is that you like to carry in your purse or pocket. But you have something. I can just about guarantee that most of you who are watching right now are watching on a device that would allow you to video yourself right in this moment and to do your own live stream show right from that device. So think about that. Be budget conscious, okay? And think about getting yourself, first of all, to a place where you've committed and you're consistent and you're actually going to do more video before you go out, rush, and invest in a bunch of stuff that you will never use. I honestly can tell you that the simplest, and I've tried a lot, the simplest streaming platform and the one that I choose to use is StreamYard. Now, there are others. Restream.io, if you've invested in that, if you have a subscription there, is an excellent service as well. But those are the two that I tend to recommend to my clients. So StreamYard is one, Restream.io is another, or some people call it Restreamio, okay? But StreamYard, if you want to try it out, go to tanya.click/StreamYard and do a trial run. You can do a free account there. And you can have a professional show set up literally in minutes. So I highly encourage you to think about that. Don't go out and buy a bunch of complex software. There is a free software called OBS. For some of you, you're familiar with that, and it can do a lot. And honestly, when I first really started diving into things, that was where I started, but it did get a little bit more complex because I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to make it do different things that I wanted it to do. Whereas when I started using StreamYard, I just clicked a couple of buttons, put in my branded graphics, and I was ready to go. So I want you to really think about easing up on the investment of time and money. That's the first thing. Okay. So the second tip that I would share with you, and I see some stars and some fires too. Yes, yes, yes. Love StreamYard. I'm so glad I took your suggestion. Thank you, Angelica. I love me some Angelica. She takes things and she implements, and I love that about her and so many people that are in the community. So absolutely, don't just listen to the talking heads. Take this. I try to give you strategies that you can use instantly and immediately. So here's the second tip. What I would tell my younger self if I were just starting out streaming is you don't have to be somebody else. Be yourself. Be yourself. You don't have to do your streams and your videos how everybody else is doing them. Now, one of the things that I do encourage my clients and my coaching students to do is to watch other videos. Why? It's not because I want you to mimic and become like someone else. It's because I'm encouraging you to go out and see what you're going to keep or chunk. So there may be some ideas that you pick up when you're watching Facebook Watch or when you're watching YouTube and you're seeing other people that are going live and doing on-camera video. There may be some things some patterns and some trends and some habits that you see that you think, you know what, I could probably incorporate that into my own streaming. And that's great, but you don't have to be anybody else but you. In fact, it's more important and more critical for you to be you than it is for you to try to be somebody else, because guess what? Your viewers can go watch that other person, right? So being, again, the introvert that I am, when I first started watching a lot of live streams and I saw, different things that were popping up, there were two takeaways that I got from it at first. And I tried to do the things that they were doing. So one was I took away that people were really high energy and they were really just like all over the place. And that is not me. I'm a teaching type of trainer. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just not off the walls. I'm not like bouncing out the walls, but I am and I can deliver a calm, which some people say is good, a calm and structured group of information to you through video, right? But when I first started, I was trying to do those other things. I was trying to be like other people, and it was draining. And it practically made me decide to just stop altogether because I felt like I can't be that person. That's not who I am. So I almost gave up because I thought, well, if I'm not like that person, I'm not going to get the numbers that they have. But in the end, you have to remember, when you are being you and when you're being your most unique and brilliant self, that is when you're at your best. And that is when you're going to attract the attention of the people who most need you and need your style. You don't have to be anybody else but yourself. The second thing that I saw that other people were doing, and this may be right for you, it just wasn't a good fit for me. I saw that people were doing streaming shows where they did interviews. And that was the bulk of what they would do. So their podcast had other people where there were guest interviews. And it was a consistent thing. So every week they would do their stream, they would have another person on. That can work for some. And some of you, probably 50% of you that are watching, that's going to be an excellent formula for you. It was not the right formula for me. And I had to learn to be okay with that, to be okay with a different style. So you want to find your style. And a good way for you to do that is certainly by watching other people. Yes. But don't ever say to yourself, I want to be like that person. And don't ever say to yourself, I can't be me, because if I'm me, then I won't capture attention or I won't draw a crowd. Yes, you can. And yes, you will. And yeah, your crowd may start off smaller and it may stay smaller. But guess what? It's the crowd that's meant for you. It's the people who are meant to hear your message. And that's what I honestly believe. Anytime I get on camera, when I'm talking to you right now, I know that even if it's not 1,000 people watching, the right people are watching. The people who need to hear what I have to say are watching and listening in this moment. And I'm good with that. So be good with that for yourself and for your own videos. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you for the hearts, ma'am. And Marceline, yes, you and we are sister friends when it comes to being introverts. Angelica said that's what made me stop and listen and eventually sign up for one of your programs. And I love that. I love that you came and you were attracted and engaged to what I had to share into my style. And so you may be completely the opposite. Maybe you are that bouncing off the walls chick. Maybe you are that woman who is, has a style of her own. And I love seeing that too. I love seeing every single person that I get to work with blossom and grow into your own personality on video. I love that. So be your most brilliant self, and you're going to draw the audience that's meant for you. Talk about what you know. So that's my second piece of advice that I would have told myself is I don't have to be everybody else. The third piece of advice I would have said is have a purpose. Think about what you're going to say before you just jump on camera. Because here's the thing, when I first started as a newbie to doing videos, what I kept hearing is do more video, do more video, do more video. And you're probably hearing that too. You're hearing it from me because I'm telling you, do more video. But don't just do it for sake of doing it. It's sort of like social media, right? Don't just spend all that time and effort putting out social media content and constantly taking pictures and putting them on Instagram, and you have no distinguishing factor. There's no reason why you're doing this. Content takes a lot of time. It's time consuming when you're creating high quality, relevant content that's going to be the right type of content to get people in your space. So when you're going to spend that type of time, that quality time into creating content that includes your video, you need to be on purpose. You need to be thinking about, why am I doing this? What is it leading people to? What's the next step? It's one of the reasons why it became so critical eventually. And I didn't start this way, but it became so important for me to sit down and map out, what am I going to be talking about? So I was sharing in the Video VIPs community the other day a really simple formula on how I came up with 52 weeks worth of content. So if you're not in the group and you want that really quick formula, the post that I shared, basically you need to come over to Facebook and go to Video VIPs and join our community, because having something in mind, you've got to work backwards. You've got to say, okay, this is my purpose and this is what I talk about. Here's what I want to lead people to. And all those things need to be flying in formation as you create content, because you are a person who cannot waste time. You don't need to be busy. You need to be productive. Okay. All that you put your heart and soul into needs to have a purpose. It's not just about jumping on camera and talking about what you fed your cat today, although that could work if that's your branding, if it's on purpose, right? But it needs to be something that is going to create value for someone. If you're trying to use that to draw attention to your products, services, and programs that you're selling. Now, let me do a disclaimer and say, if you just like doing video blogs and if you just like entertaining people, that may work for you. Many of you, however, that I'm talking to, probably about 75% of you, are not on here because you just want to become a better entertainer. You're here because you want to be a better business owner. You want people to invest in your programs, your products, your services, your books, your workshops, your speaking engagements. You want people to want to spend more time and money with you. And if that's the case, then it's going to be so important for you to be on purpose, to create purpose-driven content. So the third and final tip that I would have given myself years ago when I first started and I was just jumping on like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm just here. I would have told myself, have a purpose in mind. You feel so much better. You feel so much more productive. You feel like, hey, I'm accomplishing something when you are doing things with a purpose in mind that are relevant, right? So I want to talk a little bit about Clubhouse, because that point leads me into my recent experiences. And so I know my girl, who is on there? I know Michelle is on there. Yes. And Michelle thinks Clubhouse is great, Marcia says. She does. And it is. It is absolutely. So let me share what Clubhouse is for those of you who don't know what it is, because right now it is an invite-only social media platform that's fairly new. And it's getting a lot of traction because I know Oprah mentioned it in an article that I saw in her magazine online. And then there's other celebrities and people of a certain status that have been in Clubhouse. Kevin Hart had, for instance, a room on Clubhouse that had, I think it broke the internet. It broke Clubhouse for a minute. What it is basically an invite only for now. but they're expanding the options for people to be able to join and have access next year, is kind of what I'm hearing. But it is a social media platform where you can go and have audio chat, meaning that you're talking with people. There's no video involved. There's no texting involved. It's all conversational. That part of it, I absolutely love. I love that this is a space where you can create conversations and discussions with people. You can create rooms where you are having conversations with people one-on-one, or maybe there's one to many in the conversation, or maybe there's a panel of speakers and people who are on the virtual stage that are talking with people. And they're literally, when I say talking, I mean like it's audio. And it right now is only available on iOS devices, on Apple devices. So the thing that I like about this platform is that it is creating a space that is highly diverse. So there are a lot of people of color, all shapes, sizes, any appearance. I mean, there's lots of diversity in this space, and I love that. I really do. I also appreciate that it gives you a voice. So unlike certain platforms like this, where I'm kind of talking at you, right, or talking to you, but you're chatting back through text, you actually are talking with people like you're having a real conversation. Many of us can use that right now, given the COVID situation and how many of us have been isolated. So I enjoy that too. I appreciate that. I also really like the option of being able to create a calendar, right? So you have a calendar of different events when people are going to host a room in this space about a specific niche topic. And there's all kinds of topics that are out there. You name it, people are talking about it. So love all of that too. Now, here's a couple of things that I would share in terms of reservations that I have. And this speaks to that third piece of advice I would have given my younger self about being on purpose, is that some of these rooms, literally, you can get sucked in to the conversation and be on there. You thought it was going to be 30 minutes and now it's 3 hours later and you're still on. You can listen in, by the way, and don't have to converse. You can listen in. Hi, and Young Bay. It's good to see you, lady. You can listen in and just kind of lurk, and you can go from room to room. You can leave a room quietly and go to another room. The thing I would only caution you about, there's a couple of things, but one thing I would caution you about is the time, because I'm so big on time. And I'm so big on making sure that you definitely have allotted for yourself the space to be able to get things done that you need to get done. Yes, Michelle's point is there's a great variety of topics. I do love that. But just make sure that you're structuring your time on the app such that you still are able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in the day, because it can be a huge drain if you're not careful. And what I do love is that there are new voices that we haven't heard on a lot of the other social spaces, because it's such a new platform and it's giving people a way to really be able to stand up and escalate themselves and their message in a different way. So lots of positive things. If you are on Clubhouse, feel free to follow at Tanya Smith. I've secured my name. Hallelujah. So definitely. And yes, Michelle said leaving is not hard for her, but it can be for many of us. It's not hard for me either, Michelle, but you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth when it comes to productivity. And I know you talk a lot about that on your Monday shows. But there are others that I have heard about that have gotten sucked in and stayed on there for hours at a time. So just kind of manage that. If you are on Clubhouse or need an invitation, then definitely seek that out from people who are in your circle, because each of us, I believe, gets one. I actually got more when I got connected, and I'm not sure why, but hey, I was thankful. But you get invites replenished as you participate more in the app. So really good way for you to get connected in a new space, to learn and to grow. We talked about learning and growing, right? So I do love that as well. Nicole, it's wonderful to see you, ma'am. We are about to wrap this thing up, but let me recap for you the 3 things I would have shared, just in case you're coming in a little bit later. The 3 things I would share if I were just starting out, and yes, Michelle left some really good comments there too, about the 2 schools of thought. So definitely read that if you're in the VIP community. Here's the 3 message points that I would share with you that I would have told my younger self about starting out with video. First, you don't need to buy everything. Start with what you have. Start with where you are, with the resources you have. I bet you right now in this moment, you can do a very nice job with streaming. Even with a free StreamYard account, your phone, right? And a decent space around you that you set for yourself with some natural lighting from a window, you can do really well with video. So, number 1. Number 2, you don't have to be anybody else but yourself. You just don't. Be you and be your most brilliant and at your best you. And I've shared tips in other videos about how to do that and how to lift your energy level, especially when you're an introvert like me. Number 3, and the final tip was have a purpose in mind, just like you would for any of the content you're creating for your social spaces to build influence. It's important to think about the relevancy of your content and to make sure that you're doing things with some intention and planning, if at all possible. Sometimes some of the best conversations are the ones that are right off the cuff, right? But you cannot really truly build your brand and your business by doing all off the cuff, unplanned content. At least I haven't seen that. I have seen the ones who have the most success be the ones who've thought out what is going to matter to the people that I serve. And then you offer that as part of your solutions through your content. So be thinking about that. I want to just thank you again for those of you who have watched for the first time. If you're an OG, put hashtag OG in the comments. If you're a newbie, put hashtag newbie so that I can make sure to address you and say hello and welcome. And if you're watching a replay, then put hashtag replay. I should have said that at the beginning. I forgot to do that. But I definitely want to come back and acknowledge you in the comments as well. I hope that you found this to be helpful. And I hope that you'll be back with us on next week to listen in again to Get Noticed with Video at Get Noticed with Video Live. Yes, ma'am. Michelle is an OG. Venus is a newbie. Good to see you, ma'am. I know, and I haven't fully welcomed you into the fold, but welcomed you to the community. I know that others have welcomed you. So definitely looking forward to meeting you and getting to know more about you, Venus. Kim, it's wonderful for you to be here. I love the flower in your profile. That is so pretty. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope that we will see you next time. We'll be back again on next Thursday. Again, if you need the calendar and you're not part of our community, you can go to our Get Noticed with Video website, getnoticedwithvideo.com, and our schedule is there on the events tab. And you can see all the different programs and other things that we have coming up. We have a whole lot coming up in January, in the month of January. So you will not want to miss being a part. In January, for one thing that I'll tell you is that we're going to start back up with our Let's Go Live challenge. It's our 5-day challenge. I know many of you have been missing that, and I cannot wait to do that again. And we're going to be special guest of Social Media Marketing Society, which I cannot wait to talk about video in that space. So have a wonderful and blessed, abundantly blessed rest of the week. And I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Take care.